good rise. I don't know who's here yet. Maybe no one. No, okay, here we got one. So, good dawning, Sister Kashia. Good dawning to you. Uh, good, good second day. You know, again, as always, I will that you're well rested. You know, you had some good visions. I know for some of our new people, you're coming off of a fast. Thank you so much. You know, I wanted to know. um, you know, for I know for a lot of our new people, you're coming off of your fast, or actually you came off of the fast seventh day evening, Yom Sabbat. You know, peace Tanika, peace to Plant OG, peace Iris McCabe, peace Baba Uchu, peace Brother Vermon. You know, yeah. I will that everyone was able to get through the fast. Whoever did it, you know, and whatever you fasted from, I know it may not have been, you know, peace aloe. You know, I know it may not have been as hardcore as other people, but you know, you do what you can. You know, even if you're just saying I'm not going to drink soda. If you have a sugar addiction, peace system in there, you know, or you know, I'm going to fast from social media. You know, but try to make it a dietary fast whenever you can. But you know, anytime you can kind of discipline yourself, because that's what a lot of it's about. It's about sacrifice, but when you can discipline yourself and remind yourself that there's certain things that you can live without, it's always going to be powerful. You know, so whether it's I'm not checking social media for 3 days, you know, or watching any of my shows for 3 days, or ingesting any sugar, or smoking anything, you know, for 3 days, or whatever it is, or for 7 days, or for 10 days, or for 21 days, or for 40 days, or for one day, you know. But just kind of when you get to that place where you're, you know, consistently seeking to master the body with the mind, you you know, it's always going to be a good investment. Always, you're never going to come out of it like, you know, that was a waste of time. Peace, Esme. You know, even if you don't have, you know, a big cathartic, you know, experience and light, you know, the sky cracks and light comes through the sky, and you're like, you know, you may not have a moment like that, but trust me, anytime you can master the brain and you can master the body, it's a good investment. I promise you, because the majority of what Peace Sherelle, the majority of what this journey is about mastering the mind. You know what I mean? So those little fasts along the way, Peace Amal, those little fasts along the way are powerful. You know, they're more powerful than you might imagine. But anyway, um, peace, K Boogie. Good dawning to you. Good dawning. You know, good rise. Yeah, good rise. You know, um, I play around with the time sometimes. I like between 6:30 and 7. Sometimes see like, you know, what the energy kind of feels best at. I like 6:30 because of the 9 energy, the 6 energy with the 3 energy, giving us that 9 vibration. You know, but 7 is the God hour, so 7 is cool too. You know, but I'm still playing around with the times a little bit. But you know, I wanted to speak about something in regards to kind of a I guess a container for some of the things that we've been speaking about over these. I think it's 32 sessions now, 31, 32 sessions. I went and looked the other day, or yesterday, excuse me, and just kind of looked at Peace Nikki Love. You know, I looked at, you know, how many sessions were done, and, you know, so it was about 30, 31, 32. So this kind of a container concept that I wanted to just share really quickly with you, and that's the concept of vision. You know, when we're speaking about commanding the day and, you know, getting a hold of emotions, and kind of like yesterday we just spoke about the vibration of a grandparent to grandchild, and some of the things that we can implement in that relationship for some of us who are grandchildren or who are grandparents or will be grandparents one day. or even parents one day, and some of the things that we may have to speak to with our elders about, like, hey, this is kind of how I want things to go. Well, with all of those different things that we speak about, with all of those different components, peace, brother Anthony. There's a container component of all of those, and it's vision. Because if you're seeking to command your day, and you're seeking to live out a purpose, and you're seeking to kind of get control of emotions, and you're seeking to respond versus react and think before you do certain things, ultimately there has to be a vision that compels the justification for that level of work that you would put in. Like, no, I can't react because this is what I'm here to do. This is what has been shown to me, or that I see in my mind's eye. And one of the things that's important when we look at vision, it's not just based upon some great, illustrious kind of purpose that we think, peace, India, that we imagine that we have in our life, and a far off thing. I envision myself riding on a camel and bringing water to people in the desert, things like that. It's not necessarily just that, but your vision is actually, it's there's going to be multiple visions in different areas of your life, right? So you may have a vision for your children, you may have a vision for your relationship, you may have a vision for your career, you may have a body image vision. You may have a vision for your education. Peace, Ia Aldere. There's going to be so many different areas in your life where there's going to be a vision. So sometimes, when we look at it like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I'm completely directionless. But there are, just like when you're setting goals, sometimes Peace, Kenneth Thrasher, you know, I wonder if you change your name from Thrasher to Williams. I mean, from Williams to Thrasher, if you're the same Kenneth. But sometimes when we look at it, we're looking for this big overarching vision, which is always there. We just sometimes can't see it, but it's just like a goal. Sometimes we're like, I want to hit these huge benchmarks, and we can't hit the huge benchmarks, or we think we can't. So it's better to establish smaller goals along the way. For one, it builds up endurance, builds up self esteem, builds up strength, and it eventually gets you to the larger one. Vision is the same way, right? Sometimes we may have this huge vision, and we're like, man, I'm going to be speaking in stadiums or healing people by the thousands, whatever it is. It might be something huge. And we don't realize that there are moments along the way, there are visions along the way to achieve. And a lot of that always comes down to, as I've said before, obedience. You know, if if you can't be obedient to the smaller vision, why would I show you the larger vision? Right? Because here's the thing, we have to be equipped to receive our vision. We have to be equipped to receive everything we want in life. And what I mean by that, everything that's personal and sacred and soulful, is ours personally. Like, everybody has a soul, a song soul, right? There's a song that speaks in our soul. Everyone has a word. Pieces to Allison. Just like everyone has a gift, everyone has a talent. We all have that. But sometimes we're not in position to hear that song. Sometimes we're not in position to trust or have faith that that talent is present, or when we see it manifest, we're not in a position to really value it because we have low self-esteem. You see, so every vision that you receive, whether it's larger or smaller, it comes at the behest of your preparedness for it. Peace, Anna Maria. The preparedness for it now determines if you get to see it. Because here's the important thing about a vision when it comes from the Almighty versus a vision like a dream that you might just have, that's, just a dream, or something that you may have conjured up within your own conscious mind, right? A vision from the Almighty is synonymous with a promise from the Almighty. Okay, vision, promise, same exact thing. Okay, so one of the things that sometimes people come to me and they say, I had a vision. I'm supposed to be a healer. I'm supposed to save my people. It's always the same ones: healer, save my people, teach my people, right? And then I might say something like, I'll say, okay, that's your vision, because you never belittle anyone's thing, even if, like I said, everybody comes with the same exact one. Peace first, last. Peace, Sister Moksha. it always follows with another statement right behind it. Peace say, I have this vision, but I don't know how I'm gonna get there. Right? So when you have a vision, I'm gonna show you the difference between when you have a divine vision versus when you're just imagining, your own things, And I'm not telling you not to imagine things, but I want you to be able to differentiate between the two. So when you just have your own idea, the first thing you have to figure out how to do is how to get there, because that idea may not necessarily be supported by the soul. It's not supported by the creator. It's not a part of your original destiny. It's your idea. So the first thing you're going to be, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Or you're going to be having dreams that you can't interpret. I had a dream about this, I have a dream about that. And anyone who's ever asked me to interpret a dream, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what does it mean to you? I don't know. I don't know. Here's the reality of it. There's a good chance that that's not a divine dream. It's not as special as you think. And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. And the more we can recognize that, the more we will have divine dreams, because sometimes we're not holding space. We're not prepared to receive the better vision. We're not prepared to receive the actual promise, because there's no space for it. There's no room for it because of what we've puffed ourselves up to imagine we are. So again, if I have an idea and it's all me, then it becomes my problem. My vision becomes my problem. My vision becomes my stress point. It's the thing that keeps me up at night, where I'm analyzing and I'm thinking, and I can't rest peacefully. And I wake up thinking about it, and I'm stressed out because time is going by, and I'm saying, man, nothing has happened yet, and I still have this vision, I still have this idea, but nothing is happening. Nothing is happening, right? Because again, it becomes my problem. Now, when the divine gives you a vision, it's the divine's problem. It's not your problem. You ain't got to worry about it. If the creator says, this is what you're going to do, or shows you this is what you're going to do, okay, let thy will be done. Like, all right, so I'll just follow whatever steps. Peace pad mini 144. I'll just follow the requisite steps to get to that point. But I don't actually have to now figure out how to make it happen, because it's not my vision. It's your vision. So if it's your vision, then you're going to have the steps to fulfill it. But all you're doing is showing me the vision. You're not holding a carrot over my head. You're not titillating me with the idea of, ooh, I can give you this, I can give you that. There's another entity that does that. What you're doing is you're making a promise to me. You see, so if a vision one day is, you're gonna lead a group of people to Colorado Rockies, and they're going to go to the Colorado Rockies, and they're going to receive all kind of mental healing and emotional healing, and this is going to happen every year, right? Peace Janelle speaks. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that's a vision. Um, if that is a divine vision, I just have to wait and follow the steps. I don't have to figure out, oh damn, we're in the Colorado Rockies, and who's gonna want to travel all the way across the country, go to college, and what, and mental healing, emotional healing? How am I gonna do that? I don't know how to do any of that, and I don't even like being around people. I'm not a people person, or this that. There could be all these things that go through your mind, but when it's a creator's vision, all right, that's the creator's problem. Yeah, the creator said I'm supposed to go to Colorado Rockies and do it. That's I ain't got to worry about that. I just have to be in alignment. I just got to stay in the frequency. That's the only job I have to do. I just got to show up. As long as I show up, I'm good. You see? So when it's not a vision like that, and sometimes it's these grandiose, distracting visions of peace, Cassie, and sometimes that vision is based upon what we want to have with another person. I want this person to be my man. I want this person to be my woman. I want to marry this person. I want to have a child with this person. And it's not a divine relationship. It's not a part of a vision that the creator has given to you. I'll give you an example. Peace, Maroon Beauty 21. Peace. Um, you know, a lot of times there's a lot of concern, and peace, James Garabaki, grand rising to you. There's a lot of concern and angst around mating for a lot of people. Like, when will my spouse come? When will my bride come? When will my groom come? Will it ever happen? You go through the whole list of things that people ask themselves. And then sometimes people come to me, Chief, I need to get a reading. Next year, will I meet the person I'm supposed to be with? I got questions about my love life. And usually, because honestly, I'm kind of beyond those questions at this point. So usually I'll be like, well, do you want to meet the person that you're going to meet? Because a seer or a diviner can tell you anything, but are you ready to receive that person? Let me tell you something. 10 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, it never fails. When someone asks that question, I want to get a reading if I'm going to meet the person who's to be with it, they're never ready to actually be with anybody. You just ask a couple of questions, and then they're nowhere near ready for a relationship. Well, this is why you haven't met anybody. That's like you didn't have to get a reading for that. You're not going to receive that promise until you're ready to receive the promise. And once you receive the promise, remember, promise and vision are synonymous. You don't have to go to a diviner because you already got the divine vision. I was promised this person in 2020 or 2021, whatever it is. You know why? Even in 2020, a lot of people's lives were so upturned, not just because of the pandemic and everything that happened, but because so many people set goals around 2020 because of the year of vision, 2020 vision. And peace, Shakira, peace, Shamless, Shamels, I think Shamels, I think. If not, feel free to correct me. But so many people had set goals around just, a catchy phrase, a catchphrase, 2020 vision. I'm going to see everything clear, you know. And when other things happened that were a part of a greater divine plan, yeah, then they went berserk because the vision that they have based off their own catchphrase or something they may have saw on a meme or something like that, they now were required to support, but it wasn't supported by the cosmos. You see, so it's the same thing in a relationship when you're saying, well, when will my lover come? When will my this come? When will my that come? They will come when you're ready to receive the promise. You'll get the vision of that. So a lot of times, when people are like wondering, I had that incident happen the other day. Somebody called for a reading. They met someone in a relationship or they're starting a relationship and wanted me to do a reading on the person. And let me just put this out there for all of you listening. I don't do those readings. All right. So I had to, and the person was cool about it. I said, no, that's not what I do. Because it's very disrespectful to the relationship. Peace, Mama Marva. It's very disrespectful. Someone is presenting themselves to you and you're vibing with them and you're talking to them and then you're going behind their back and you're not listening to what they're saying. You're not even trying to make a connection. You're trying to see, well, is this person for me? What's their character? What are they like? Don't do that. And I know a lot of people advise you to do that. Get a reading on them. Don't do that. It's so disrespectful. It's so like, do you have relationship skills? Read a relationship book. Do that. Read a book on marriage. Read a book on even human psychology or sociology. Read that, but don't go behind someone's back and get a reading on them. If you're in a relationship, there has to be some level, and you're not going to fully trust a person, but there has to be, the way you build trust is that there has to be small steps of trust along the way, right? So I had told the person, nah, I'm not, because it's disrespectful to that person. It's disrespectful to the possible relationship. Peace, brother Anwar. And it's intrusive and it's invasive. I'm reading on someone I don't even know. It's not like the two of you came to me, which I've done those readings, and say, yeah, we've been vibing for a while, whatever. We'd like to get either sometimes just a relationship consultation, some of the things we should be mindful of, or to read. That's different. But just to invade into somebody's space, this person may think that people who do readings are devil worshippers and you just went and got a reading on. So now I'm invading into their aura, and they might consider me a devil worshiper. How do you think that relationship is really going to work out? Especially when that level of trust, you the type of person that'll be going through their phone later and stuff like that. So that's just a side thing. Don't do that. But certainly don't ask me to do that because I don't do it. Now, here's the thing. Somebody's finger slipped and hit the thumb down. um, yeah, maybe. Peace, Baba Haru. You know. So here's pieces, Deidre. You know. So here's the other thing, man. When it comes to your vision versus the divine vision, a lot of times, just like in that relationship with the relationship, and like I said, what I was saying, I'm gonna hit the second point or the third point. I'm not counting. Um, the creator will give you a vision for who you're supposed to be with, a real vision, which is a promise. You see, so like sometimes you may meet someone first time, and you may have a dream, or or you may know right in that moment, that's my husband. That's the person I'm gonna marry. Or sometimes for men it's like, I'm gonna marry that woman. That's who I'm gonna marry, right? Honestly, that's how it really happens. Believe it or not, that's there's not enough scheming and finagling that you can do to make that happen. You know, um, when it's not a divine vision is when you have to do all that finagling. You see, that's when you have to do all that finagling, because you end up having to step over people. You'll meet someone and they're already with someone, right? Let's say if you meet a woman and she already has a man, but you're just so fancified by her. You're just so fond of her, and you like David and Bathsheba. You start figuring out ways to separate her from her mate, or to throw salt in his game, and insult him, and throw little shots and things like that to start to break down her image and her perception that she has of him. Now, you only have to do all of that when you're not following the divine vision. You see, so now you got to do all this extra work. Now, I'm giving you the example of a relationship, but it's the same exact thing in any, if it's your career, it's the same thing. Remember, there's a vision for everything, for your career, for your family, for your body, for your food, for your children. This you could just keep going. You know what I mean? Yeah, David was cold as ice, brother Antonio, but so was Bathsheba. I mean, she was banging out with him already. So she had committed adultery. Plus, she was on the roof bathing naked. She knew where the king's palace was. There's a lot of little nuances to that story. You know what I mean? But she's over there, you know, bucket naked, and knows that the king can see her from where she's at. Um, you know. But anyway, I won't get off into that. But So, the thing about it is the finagling and the hustling, and the tricks that have to be kind of enacted and played when you're not following the actual promise. That's the key. That's what I'm saying. The creator gives all of us a promise. We all get a promise. And sometimes we're not cool with the time frame of the promise. So that's when we start to finagle. Sometimes we have to sit around, and we have to sit around, and we have to sit around, and there's a divine timing, and there's a divine rhythm to things. But we're given that promise early on to not only know that there's promise in our life, but also to keep us from doing something that we're not supposed to do, because we have a vision. I've been given a vision. I can't go over there and do that with you, or I can't move there with you, or this is not the type of man that I'm gonna marry, or the type of woman that I'm gonna marry based on this vision that's been given. Or it's the same thing in a career. You have a vision for your career. Hey, I'm gonna work for a company for 5 years, 10 years, and then I'm gonna strike out on my own, and I'm gonna hang my own shingle and do my own thing. And then the 9 year mark comes, or the 4 year mark comes, and you're offered a position that would further cement you into that environment. And you say, well, man, if the money is good, and I mean, I got all this money in my 401k, and I like to keep building that. And if I stay just a little bit longer, peace, Ali Isha, if I stay just a little bit longer, this is what happened, and that will happen. Even though you've been given a promise, you've been given a vision, you've been given a promise, but now you start to create your own vision. Yeah, I know the creator gave me a vision. In 10 years I'm going to go do my own thing, but you know what, I can still do that, but I can stay here for 15 years. If I once I get 15 years in, this is what my pension will look like. Or this is what, or I can, or they'll send me back to school and I can go back to school for another 4 or 5 years, and get whatever degrees or certifications that I want if I stay a little bit longer. You see what I'm saying? So now what happens is you're now functioning as Satan. Because what does Satan do? Satan, the archetype or set of materialism, you have archetypes of materialism, and then you have like Haru. Now, what is Haru? Haru means light, that which is above, or heaven. So that's an archetype of the unseen or the untouchable. You can't really squeeze light like that. And then, Set, his uncle, being an archetype of what's material. And Set will always seek, or Satan will always seek to create a physical representation of a spiritual construct. So you get a spiritual construct of a vision, which is a promise. Peace, Baba Obadina. You get a physical construct or a promise of what should be occurring in your life, and then what you start doing is you start creating a material or an earthly construct of the same vision. But the problem is, it's not going to be imbued with the coordination and the diagram of the heavens is going to be imbued with your own desires, because you're now creating and you're constructing from the root chakra, whereas the vision that you were given to you from the crown. Of course, you can't see your crown. I could see maybe it's some of the top of my head only because I'm looking at a camera right now. But you can't see all of that vision that's up there, but you can control the one that's on the ground. So now the one that's on the ground that you create for yourself is only going to be ceilinged in its capacity and its power by the ceiling of your own awareness, ability, and the trust and faith that you have in yourself. You see, so that's how a lot of times we'll get a divine promise, a divine vision, and then what we end up doing is we want to shape it the way we want it to go. You see, and once we start looking to shape it the way we want it to go, which is a satanic act, we shape it the way we want it to go. Now it becomes our problems, and we make something our problem that was never our problem to begin with. You see, that was never our issue. If your vision is imbued with the creator's plan, not only for your life but the creator's plan for life, honestly, it's not as difficult to manifest it. The difficult part, and what you need to save your energy for, is the attacks along the way. you know I look at my own experience. A lot of you think, and I'm not gonna say that you don't go through things, but you go through things. This is happening, and taxes, and family members are dying, children are sick, acting up, you're getting divorces and things like that. A lot of you are going through that, and you tune in and you listen to me and you call me for consultation and you call me for readings and things like that, right? So you acknowledge that I probably have a deeper connection with the creator, or a more advanced connection, and I may be moving as a more advanced or cultivated person on the planet. So imagine what my attacks look like. Now, I'm saying that not to big myself up, so I'm using my words very carefully, right? Because more cultivated means that you can get cultivated too. It's just got to do more of it, right? So, not saying that I have anything different than what anyone else has, but imagine what my attacks look like, because I'm going deeper into that vision. So, the deeper you go into the vision, the more that you say, I'm going to have faith in this divine promise, the stronger the attacks are to deter you from believing or having faith, because they can work hand in hand, in that promise. You see, so there'll be all kind of agents that will come along the way. Like you're you're driving your car and you're on the road and you're in your lane, and then it's like it's demolition derby. All of a sudden, you got two monster trucks that come on the side of you, and they're trying to knock you off the road and hitting you this way and hitting you that way, and you can get distracted and say, "Oh, you gonna hit my car? Like now, let me jump out this car. Let me go in my trunk and get up and get my gun out and start doing this, doing that." But now you're functioning off your vision and the promise and the threat of what you're gonna do to someone else, as opposed to saying, "I have a vision. I already know. I already know the attacks are coming," and we have an idea of what's called grace under fire. or grace under pressure, right? So the job of those of us who are deeper into this and who are presenting information and who are educating people um, is to be graceful. So we go through all kind of attacks. Don't think I don't go through them. I go through attacks. I go through issues. I get people every single day. You got to understand, just even doing segments like this, you expose yourself to things. People always want to say all kind of crazy, stupid things once you put yourself out there and say, hey, this is why a lot of you don't comment. This is why there's 55 people on the video, but only 26 likes. You're afraid to even hit the like button, right? Now, I'm not asking you for likes. I know why you don't do it. And a part of that is because, like, I don't want to be that invested in this because I know once I commit myself to this, then that's when the attacks come. You see, that's when things change. I mean, one time we were in the barbershop. That's when I used to cut hair, and Heavy D was in the shop. He was an artist back in the days. He transitioned, um, and peace, Ia Andrine, and we were talking about God and religion. And one of the barbers at that time, he had just gotten saved. He had just become a Christian. He's still a Christian. He's a pastor now, actually. Um, so we're going back. Oh man, it was a long time ago, right? Um, and Hev says, "Man, I don't read that book." There was a Bible on the counter. And he was like, "Man, I don't read that book." And the guy was like, "I'm not." He was like, "Why?" And he said, "Because that book changes people's lives. And right now, in the business that I'm in the career, I don't have the space to be changed like that yet." You see. Now this was around the time. What song was out? I think "Is It Good to You" was out around that time. Well, that might have been right after that. But he was hot at this time. Um, so the thing is, that's why some people will invest less, right? Because of the change that will come. Once that change comes, or that commitment is made, it's a declaration of war. Now the attacks come, and so that's what I say. If I share with you some of the things that people, the little demons, goblins, and gremlins, and individuals who have no ability to create and manifest at the level that I do, how they try to attack. It's a daily thing on almost a daily basis, but they can't create what I create. They won't say, oh, he said this in the video, I'm gonna thumbs it down and I'm gonna say something slick to him, whatever, and then I'm gonna go make my own video showing a better idea or a greater idea, because they can't do that. All they can do is steal. So they can only react and retort to what it is that a God is saying, right? Because that is the relationship between the material and the unseen. So if I'm coming and I'm bringing divine unseen values, then the satanic aspect is going to respond with root chakra energy. That's what it's supposed to do. You see, so there's always going to be. So one of the ways when someone is stealing your stuff, or sometimes literally stealing your stuff, when someone is stealing your stuff and unable to generate what you have, sometimes you get that in relationships. Sometimes you lay with a person and you ingest such divine, beautiful spirit and energy with them that you create a child, or maybe you create a business. I've seen this so many times. You create a child or you create a business, and they know within themselves that that type of child or that type of business idea, whatever it is, that they don't have the genetics for it. They don't have the spiritual genetics to recreate something like that, so they steal yours. Whether they steal your child and convert it, into something lower or something lesser. So you may have had a divine vision for your child. Oh, this child is going to be this, and going to be completely entrenched and completely saturated with the will of the creator. Peace, Baba Logan. The other person now comes and says, no, this child is going to be completely saturated with society, with the world. I'm going to, put this child in Jack and Jill's and and things like that. But they're going to be completely saturated with what the world is, as opposed to you saying, I want them to be completely saturated with heaven is. See, that's the bounce, the reactive relationship between, the Almighty and the adversary or the accuser. So the more you dive into that promise or slash vision, again, this is similar to like when I wrote the book, The 14 Keys, and I said, look at the word keys and the word principles as synonymous with one another. 14 principles, 14 keys. You need principles in order to open up these different doors of the cosmos. You got to understand certain principles. Well, you have to see a divine vision as a divine promise. It's the same thing, right? So when you start to move closer into that, and you say, okay, you know what, you promised me something, and I have faith in that promise. You're gonna deliver. I know you're gonna deliver. I know you are, right? That now starts to change you at an atomic level, because you start to slowly and gradually become the person that's going to receive that promise. You see, so in a relationship, let's say you have a vision, you want to steal somebody's wife, and you make the decision, I can get that person's wife. So you start to become the person that can achieve that particular goal. But the problem is that it's a material goal, so it's static, it's not growing, right? So what happens is, once you become the person that can steal that person's wife, and the wife says, okay, I'm gonna run along with you, or steal that person's husband, I'm gonna go along with you. You now have to maintain that consistent persona and that persistent energy, because that's the energy that got you there. But if it's a divine energy, or it's a divine promise, or it's a divine persona, it will grow as the vision unfolds itself. So that's why a lot of times somebody will steal somebody's spouse and the relationship doesn't last long. And we'll say, oh, because it was built on something that was crooked. Yeah, that's part of it. But also because, good dawning precious mom, the precious mom, you know. But also because it wasn't imbued with the divine energy to allow it to grow with the largeness and the grandness of the vision. So it only becomes a season. Sometimes friendships are like that. You may become friends with someone because you hate somebody else. You hate them, I hate them too. So now your friendship is based around hate, it's based around venom. And then so you become that persona of what you envision maybe for that person. I want to see them dead. I want to see them dead too. But then as the world grows and as that person grows and the situation begins to evolve itself, you have to maintain that venom somehow. That's like situation between you. That wasn't. That's a chair. I actually got to stop sitting in this chair too. There's a certain chair I sit in when I do these segments, but it's actually an antique chair. It's worth money. I got to stop sitting in it. I got to sit in something else. But it's such a strong, sturdy chair. They don't make them like this anymore. But anyway, so what I was gonna say was that you know you may find situations sometimes where you might get into it a certain way with a person, right? And you'll run into them years later, or it could be months later, whatever, and they still holding that venom, and you're like, what? Like that was so long ago. You still on that? Because they've now crystallized themselves in the mechanisms of their own vision. It wasn't a divine thing. You see, I can go to war with someone because the creator tells me to go to war with them. But at the end of the day, it's not my problem. So I'm not holding malice in my heart for that person. I don't even have anything really against that person. But the creator said, this is what I need to do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what it is. If the creator don't like you, then I'm not feeling you. If the creator says chop your head, I'm going to chop your head. Right? But that vision is going to evolve, because after I do that, then now the promise opens up to the next stage. Okay, now that you've done that, now it's time to do this. Now it's time. So I'm growing because I'm being obedient to each stage of the promise. So now a larger part of the promise is opening up to me. But if I decided to invest or interject my own plan at the very beginning into whatever I was told to do, whatever it was, chances are I'm gonna get stuck in that space. This is why you'll have people who will get married, get divorced, 30 years will go by, still can't stand each other, because they base their relationships on finaglings and different machinations of how I'm going to get this person, how I'm going to get this person, I'm going to have sex with this person, and it's going to be like this, and they're going to, I'm gonna take their mind here. I'm gonna show this person all this money I have, and it's gonna bedazzle them. I'm gonna cook this kind of meal, and it's gonna bedazzle them. You see, so what happens is when there's a split, it feels like so much was lost because you invested so much in this finagling, and that's the first things you're gonna cite. I cooked every night. I did this. I did that. I did that. But did you do that because that was a part of a divine promise of what you were supposed to do because you were receiving the person you were promised? Or did you do that because you were trying to manipulate something that you wanted? You see, and that's what will keep you stagnant and static. And sometimes that's a difficult thing. Sometimes it's tough to let go. It's tough to say, you know what, I'm just not upset about that anymore. Like I've grown past that. It doesn't affect me the same way it did. Or this vision and this promise that I'm functioning on is so huge, and it requires so much of my energy and so much of my time that peace Haitian Queen. Ali Isha, I actually gave that guidance earlier on in the video before you came in, how you know the difference between the divine vision and your own personal. Um, so it's I don't know what time mark, but it's in the beginning. But like I said, sometimes you get caught up in that. And you get stuck in that because you're trying to perpetuate your own vision, your own thing. And when I speak about, and I still haven't done the video yet, but morals over magic, that's where people get caught up in ideas of witchcraft and warlockism, and not in a good way. You see, because I want what I want when I want it. Well, what if the Almighty gives me a promise of what I'm supposed to have and what I'm supposed to be to have it, and I decide that I don't want to do that? If the Almighty, if I say, man, I want a Claire Huxtable, or I want a Vivian Banks, I want a woman like that in my life. I want a classy woman who's composed, and you just go through the list. Or maybe you want a Harriet. You want a Harriet from Family Matters. I want a warm woman who, you know, I never watched Family Matters. So I don't know, but you just go through. I watched a couple of episodes. I didn't like how they did Urkel because that show was so, again, destructive to the community. Oh my goodness, I don't want to get off on that one. So destructive. Steve Urkel was an alpha male. See, a lot of y'all think alpha men are big, rude, muscular, arrogant people. Steve Urkel was actually, when you really want to understand what an alpha male is, it was Urkel, not Stefan, but it was Urkel, and they totally. I mean, this dude made his own robot. When this dude saw a woman that he wanted, he would just go after her. He was bold. He just walk in the house, boom, hey, Carl. He was an alpha male. He was brilliant. You know what I mean? He's a genius. Anyway, I'm gonna get off into that, man. Then when he found a woman who really wanted him, this is the one who really wants him for the one who's been playing him for like 10 years. Who honestly didn't even look as good as the one who really wanted him. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that show was so doggone destructive. You know, um, and then you had the two fathers between Fresh Prince and Family Matters. Two fathers who I'm sure in their personal life were not interested in being married to women. We'll just say it like that. Peace, Miss Cindy Jones. So kind of, you know, all of that stuff is done intentionally. It wasn't like 227 where the father in 227, like, he was a man. You know what I mean? Construction work, but he was a man. But anyway, so the point I'm saying is you might, yeah, Fresh Prince dad, he was just, I'm not gonna Uncle Phil, but peace, wild girl. So you may say that's what I want, though. I want me a Uncle Phil type of husband, or I want a, I don't know, Cliff Huxtable type of husband, who listens to jazz and wears $400 sweaters every day, and you know, was a track star, and whatever it is. Peace, Baba Hutu. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. um, So you may want that, but is that a part of the promise? You see, so you may now start to design yourself to be that. Because, like I said the other day, when you're asking for things, the best way to ask for them is say, hey, this is what I want. And if you want it too, can I get it? I want a Claire Huxtable. Let's just say, for instance, I want a Claire Huxtable. If I'm supposed to have a Claire Huxtable, can I get that? Now, that's when the promise or the vision will come. Yes, you can get it. This is the promise I'll make for you that you will get it. Now we call that a vision. We'll say, "Oh, I was sleeping last night and I had a vision. I was and I was with Claire Huxtable. I was, we were out at dinner or we went dancing or whatever. You would do with your Claire Huxtable, right? That's a promise. You see, and the distinguisher is, what I spoke about earlier. But again, if you have to finagle and start to become something, if let's say, for instance, if the creator gives you a career vision, and that career vision is you're going to be peace Ricochet. That career vision is you're going to design sets for plays, or for movies. You're going to be a set designer. That's the vision. That's what you're supposed to be. And but you want Claire Huxtable or you want Cliff Huxtable, and you say, well, to get Claire Huxtable, I got to be a doctor. To get Cliff Huxtable, I have to be a lawyer. Even though the creator told you to be a set designer, the creator said, I'm going to give you Cliff, or I'm going to give you Claire, or I'm going to give you Vivian, or I'm going to give you Philip, right? I'm going to give you that. And in addition to that, I want you to be a set designer. That's what you're here to be. But you're saying that doesn't make sense. Because how could I get Cliff, Claire, Vivian, or Phillips and not have the careers that they had, or whatever it is, right? You just whatever it is. So you say you start to lean to the vision that appeals to you the most. Obviously, it's going to be the sexual one, the one that secures your sexual longevity, right? So then now you say, well, forget the set designer thing. I'm going to be this because I'm. And then why do you want to be a doctor? Why do you want to be a lawyer? Because I want to help people. You'll start to infuse your own sense of honor and consciousness into your own plan. Now you knocked all of the pieces out of whack. And then you're wondering, I went to school, I did everything, I didn't. I'm Claire Huxtable now. Why can't I find Cliff? Cliff was already promised to you in the vision. And the other visions were also already promised to you. But they're like puzzle pieces. You can't mix and match them however you feel like based on your own lower chakra design or desires, because in that you become Satan. I want it when I want it, and I want it how I want it. So then what does the Almighty do? Okay, do it. Do your thing. All right? Because isn't that what Lucifer is told? Oh, you want to soar before? Oh, okay. Okay. You want to soar over my throne. And, okay. Well, do your thing. Go on down there to the dust and do your thing. See if you can build yourself back up. I'm gonna drop you into a pool of melanin, Lucifer, light. You're gonna go and remember Lucifer was the singer. He was like you know um, Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke and Aretha Franklin. He was singing. He was music, kind of like Yehuda praise. So I'm gonna drop you down into the melanin and you work your way back up, seeing how you so big and bad. That's how that works, right? So that's why a lot of times it feels like we're doing the right thing. It feels like we're doing the right thing. May not necessarily know that we're doing the right thing, grow. And things are still not popping off for us. And it's because we've been given a promise that we've decided to sidestep. That's the issue. You see. And he's up and then what happens is we're only holding space for minor visions. You see. We're only holding space for, you know, I had a vision. I'm going to be a healer and I'm going to be a reader and I'm going to be a diviner and I'm going to be this and all that. And that's, a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, grow. That's small stakes. That's small stuff. And meanwhile, while the collective divine consciousness of the divine people is growing and evolving beyond that, you still want to do the little small stuff. This is where the witchcraft and the warlockism comes in a way that's not a stepping stone, but in a way that's a a lodestone tied around your neck as you're sinking down into the ocean. You see, because you think there's no vision for your life. You think that there's no promise for your life. So I'm gonna make my own vision. I'm gonna make my own promise. I'm gonna mix some of this, and I'm gonna get some tobacco, and I'm gonna get some afun, and I'm gonna get some rum, and I'm gonna get a little bit of blood, and do this and do that. And there's a full moon that's coming in, and I'm gonna make my own way. I'm gonna make my own path. And then the divine says, okay, go ahead. Let's see what you can come up with. And what you're going to find, because you're now trapped into a material way of thinking, the only thing that you're going to keep coming up with is death. See, know thyself, old man, because in knowing thyself ye shall know God, inscribed in tombs and commit and Kemet. Well, because people only say the know thyself part. Why don't they ever add the old man? That's the most important part of the whole thing. Know you'll know God on. Okay, cool. That's know thyself, old man, because you're the one that's getting older. I'm eternal. You're the one that has a shelf life. You see, peace, kid, glide. Good dawning to you. You're the one with a shelf life, not me. So as you age and as you get more cemented in your ego, you want to know yourself. What is yourself? That eternal part of you that doesn't change. Because in knowing that eternal part that doesn't change, you will know the Almighty. You see, but you get stuck in what you can do. I'm a powerful witch. I'm a bruja. I'm a warlock. I'm an Ianifa. I'm a Babalao. I'll do this. I'm an Awo. I'm Omo Ogun. You're stuck. You're stuck. Meanwhile, everyone else is getting smarter. You speak to Anu people. Most people came into Anu because they liked the way I broke down Orisha and spiritual sciences and African traditional religions. Peace, Brittany. And Kemet and Kabbalah and things like that. So that's what how they came in. Then once they came in, they said, "Well, I want to learn about Orisha." Nah, you gonna learn about everything. You're gonna learn about everything. And I get emails like that at least 2 to 3 times as strong. Chief, do you have any classes just on E5? No, no classes just on E5. I actually have a book that I wrote on shell divination and never put it out. I got a lot of books that never put out. Why? Because I grow past them, and not past the sciences themselves, but I grow past those visions. Because some of those visions were my visions; they weren't divine visions. So maybe at one point I was like, yeah, people need to know this, people need to learn this, people need to learn that, learn that, learn that, learn that. And then I sit back with celestial repose, and then as I'm sitting back and looking over the planet, I'm saying, that's not where we're at, because now I'm having team meetings. See, one of the things that you want to have in your life, I'm gonna give you something really, really valuable if you can do it, and you should do it. You want to have a vision team. When you are surrounding yourself with people who you have an intimate enough connection with, where you can reveal your vision to them and they can reveal their vision to you, it will start to open up things in your spirit and in your psyche that are very difficult to open up by yourself. So for me, I have like a celestial mastermind team. So I'm sitting with my celestial mastermind team, and they're like, no, man, the collective consciousness of the world is moving beyond parlor tricks and magic tricks and playing with little stuff on the ground. And though people think that they're winning doing that stuff, it's only because they have small vision. You see, we trying to bring you up here to the big leagues. So that's why it's good to be around. Like I always say, if you're around, 9 broke people, you're gonna be the 10th. Peace, Jai Hudson. Good dawning. Peace and blessings to you too. You see, if you're around 9 divinely envisioned and energies moving on that vision, you're gonna be the 10th. You see, so when you find yourself or you create a vision group, and you say, okay, this is what I the vision I received, and you can be open about it. And this is the vision I received. Okay, cool. Let's hold each other accountable for these divine and celestial visions and these celestial promises. Because at the end of the day, if they're celestial, the energy that promised you is the same energy that promised me. You see, so it exists within all of us. So when I'm sitting with my vision group and I'm like, nah, man, we gotta step it up, because the spirit of the world is stepping it up. And I know some people may get offended by that, and that's not my intent to offend. So let's see. Truth can be very offensive to individuals who are old. Now, what does that mean when I say old? Like, know thyself, old man. People who have crustated themselves in an egoic identity, because the ego doesn't want truth, because truth starts to knock the covering off the ego. Truth is like light, and it's very similar to, you know, we'll just say that truth is light, and the light, like ultraviolet light starts to disinfect things and get those old ideas and those old concepts out of you. And sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable to take a decontamination shower. But we have to decontaminate ourselves from old ideas that are keeping us locked into personal visions that yield nothing but earthly gain. And then eventually you start to see that wears out because it's not an infinite source. Like when people say sometimes, man, Chief, you give a lot. You know how much I could give? I could sit on here and talk for 72 hours straight and still not be out of information. Why? Because it's not coming from my earthly mind. That my earthly mind, you probably get about 15 minutes. Peace, Christian. You know, that's finite. But I'm pulling from a place with boundless resources. You see? So as we're pulling and as we're learning, when I learn Ifa or I learned shell divination. I learned how to deal with Obi, and I learned Kabbalah, and I learned things about the Sangoma system, and I learned things about Congolese system, and I learned from my Lenape elders and my Cree elders, and I learned native systems, and I learned the dream time of the Aborigines and all of these different sciences that I've dived into, and I've learned now the universe is peace, John Jr. The universe is doing this. And it's saying, okay, cool, you fulfilled that promise. Now let's go to the next step of the promise. But maybe there's something on those earlier steps that I fell in love with. Maybe, and I'm not trying to be offensive, trust me. I'm not. Please, just believe that. But maybe I fell in love with hoodoo. I love taking little oils and herbs and pieces of rag and wrapping them around things. Maybe I fell in love with that. And I want to take that with me throughout the cosmos. Or maybe I fell in love with astrology. Or maybe I fell in love with numerology. Maybe I fell in love with reading tea leaves, or reading tarot. And the cosmos is like, are you up here with us? Or are you on the tail end of the snake? Make up your mind. Peace, Michelle. And I say that, no, I'm on the head. I'm on the head. All right, well, if you're going to be on the head, that medicine bag, you got to clean some of that stuff out. Some of that stuff you don't need up here. You see, you don't need the hoodoo and the numerology and the astrology. You don't need that up here. And if you're going to teach, if you're going to continue to pursue your promise or your vision, me as an educator was a promise that I received from the Almighty. You see, like I said, promise and vision are synonymous. So if you're going to act on this promise and have faith in this promise, then you're going to have to educate, not regurgitate. Because as we grow, if we're all learning things and we're getting smarter and we're building on the shoulders of what our ancestors gave us, then that means everything is evolving. So that means that the stuff that we were doing yesterday doesn't work today, because we're reframing the universe with that new intelligence. You see, the stuff that you could get away with in first grade, you can't get away with in your freshman year of college. The same, because you've now grasped new rules apply, and there's a new way to get things done. You see, and if I was an instructor, if I was a first grade teacher or a first grade educator, and then now I got a job at a college, and now I'm teaching at freshman classes in college, I can't teach the same way. Not to mention, I can't teach the same stuff. You see? Now, the only way I would teach the same way and teach the same stuff is if I was locked into my own idea and vision. and my own vision. You ever had a teacher like that? I know you have. I know you have. Those teachers who are just locked into antiquated ways of thinking, antiquated ways of doing things, they tend to be even the most um, opinionated, because they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening. And that's because they received an earthly vision and they acted upon that, but are not moving on their divine vision. You see a lot of times people like that inside of schools and universities because a lot of times people become educators to work out their own issues. I've seen that so often. They say like some close to like 60% of the people who even get degrees in social work and psychology do it to diagnose themselves. And then I've met so many women inside of schools who um, they're working out their issues with men in an environment where they can be in control. So they do treat the boys differently than they treat the girls, right? So what vision are they operating on? And they tend to get stuck in those old crusty buildings. Know thyself, old man. They become old, you see. And again, it's not to disrespect anyone in those professions because I'm an educator myself. so I'm not talking about anything outside of me in that sense, but I'm an educator because the creator gave me that vision, not because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to teach people, because I don't think it's cool to teach people. I think there's cooler things to do in life. you know. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. You have to recognize that there is a promise in everything that you do. And there are smaller, what we would call them smaller promises, and not really, but there are compartmentalized promises, and then there's a larger overarching promise. And sometimes we don't receive that promise slash vision because we haven't respected the smaller promises. So now we're stuck in trying to make things happen for ourselves. And like I said, um, that's when all the finagling and the conniving, you have a certain vision for your career that the creator gives you, but you decide you want to follow your own. Now you're trying to rat on people and you're playing dirty politics on the job and all kind of stuff like that because you've decided to be Satan in that space. I said that when I finally left corporate America back in the days. I remember people asked me like, why did you were doing so great? Why would you leave? And I left very abruptly. Like, I mean, like P. Shannon, literally, like one day, I remember being there and I was just like, I can't do this again. I can't come in tomorrow. If I come in tomorrow, and I remember saying to myself, if I come in tomorrow, I'm going to be less of what I'm supposed to be in life. Like, I just saw a part of my manhood just being chipped off. And I wasn't, and I said, I'm not going to be able to get that back. I felt it. I saw it. Like this is my transitional crossroads. If I come in here tomorrow, that's it. Like this is what I am. I'm just a corporate gorilla for the rest of my life. That's it, right? So when people asked a lot of times, well, why did you, they're like, man, you were doing great, and da da da, and I say because I was tired of being a devil. I was tired of functioning like Satan in that environment. Because that's what started happening. I started withholding information, certain procedures I wouldn't document. I'm archiving dirt on people and stuff like that in case they try something with me. All those different dirty politics that you do in a corporate environment. And I said I shouldn't have to do these kind of things. Sure, the attacks are gonna come. Yeah, the attacks are gonna come. But these type of things are me trying to satanize. Peace, Kenneth Williams. I guess it is two different people, unless you got two different accounts. I'm trying to almost, and I know it's not a real word, but I'm trying to satanize myself just to hold on to a space that has nothing to do with me. You see, you'll find that sometimes in relationships. You'll find that sometimes where you live. If you live in a place where you gotta have like 24-hour armed security and gates all over the place and five Rottweilers, prowling your property, you might not live in the right place. When you have to do all these different things in order to maintain yourself in the space, you need to sit back with repose and speak to your vision group. Is this in alignment with the promise that I received? Is this in alignment with the vision I received? Or am I trying to force fit something? Because when you try to force fit something, what happens, the creator shows you exactly what you have every time. Nothing bad happens, but you're just shown what you have. And then you can choose to rejoice, or you can choose you can choose to lament because of what you've been shown. I've seen it every time. I used to see it back in the days with guys who would worship their women, or they worship their cars. You worship your car long enough, you're gonna get in a car accident. I promise you. Your car's gonna get totaled, or it's gonna get stolen and not recovered, or somebody gonna come and light it on fire. Because the creator's gonna show you, this is just metal, right? This is just metal, rubber, and plastic. It's not a actual being. You over here worshiping your car. It's not animate. You see, or your woman will cheat on you, or your man will cheat on you. You see, and you'll understand. How could you cheat on me? Of course, you would scream that to your God. Of course, because your God is supposed to be faithful. And your God is supposed to be true. Your God is supposed to keep all of its promises. That's peace, Krishan. That's a part of the very nature of God, right? As you've been taught. So then you worship another individual and they do something or show an infidelity and you're going berserk because you've now syncretized that person with the idea of a God. So what a higher God, or like we say the most high, will do, they will show you. I'm just going to show you what it is that you worship. I'm going to pull the curtains back. And you might come home one day and you'll see something that, oh, I didn't know I was going to see that, you know. But you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome, Mama Marva. I didn't know I was going to see that. Yeah, because you did, the Wiz. You thought you were dating the Wiz, and you weren't willing to look behind that curtain, man. So that's the advantage there with the creator. Whenever you're trying to follow your own promise, and there's a heavier calling on your life. Peace, Benin bread. I say that wrong every time. I'm gonna tell you why, because I think of Brenu, the Benu bird, but it's Benin bread. I'm sorry. Um, I'm not sorry. I apologize. You know. So that's what I'm saying. Uh, Talk to your vision group, and if you don't have a vision group, get one. It will help you. It will help you. Find people who you can be intimate and close enough with. Where you could say, this is what has been shown to me, and this is what I'm moving on. And then then be accountable and humble enough so that when thank you, I appreciate it, Benin, great. Um, where you can be humble and accountable enough where if they check you, say, hey, what are you doing? What's happening? You know, where you can say, yeah, you're right, because I did reveal this to you. Don't start with the excuses. That's so annoying. Oh, well, it may look like this to you, but this is what it really is. No, stop. Just stop. You know, no one is as deep as they think they are. Everyone thinks what they concoct in their own personal plan is so far beyond anybody else's understanding. But as beings on this planet, we're just not as unique as we like to believe we are. That's just the ego at work. We're not that unique. That's why you can have a collective spirit of humanity. You can have, even to some degree, a collective psychology of humanity, because we're not all that different. You know, um, but that's not here or there. All right, so I just wanted to share that, and I also wanted to give kudos to those of you who participated in the solutions call. This is for our new members. I know it doesn't make sense to most of you who participated in the our new call yesterday. I mean the solutions for dysfunctional family relationships call yesterday. Is very important that we get that part right, because like again, I'll reiterate, the family is the cornerstone of the nation. You can't get any of this right until you face some of those issues within yourself that are keeping you from being able to have a vision group, or keeping you from being able to conjoin and get with like-minded people. So it's really important that we hash that stuff out. You know, we can be as deep and spiritual as we want, man, but if we can't interact with each other and get along with each other, then that's the greatest sign of of our actual spiritual nature. You know, that's the greatest sign of how far we're really coming. You know what I mean? So, um, I just, want to give kudos to you all, and who are reading the work right now, and just understand that, you have to read things and read them and read them and read them until you can fully synthesize it. Like I say, if you can't teach my book, you have not read it. That's for any book I've written. If you can't teach it, you haven't read it. Just going through it and reading it is not enough. I'm not impressed by that. That you know your ABCs. That's great for you. But can you actually comprehend and synthesize and then give it back, through your own perception and understanding, but based on the truth of what it is? You see what I'm saying? If you can't do that, read it again. Sometimes you don't need 1,000 books on your shelf when you know you only have the ability to comprehend four or to retain four. If that's all you have, then you just work with that. You don't have to, who you trying to impress? Especially nowadays, like I said, the world has grown. Nobody care about books on your shelf anymore because they're all in the Kindle. You see? So the status symbols have changed. You come into someone's house and, ooh, you got a lot of books. You don't need that status symbol anymore. Cars are not even a status symbol anymore. It's just the music industry is trying to keep you locked into that stupidness. This younger generation doesn't give a crap about a car. You know what I mean? Houses and cars are no longer the status symbols. Houses, cars, and books, and you know, your phone. What kind of phone you got? Your chip. Because that's what your phone really is. It's your chip. People want to see what kind of chip you have. Ooh, that's a shiny chip you got. Now, what version is that? Oh, you got last year's version of the chip. You need to get the new chip. We're gonna wait outside online. Overnight. We're gonna camp out to get the new chip. Yeah. So anyway, all right, everyone. So be well today. Love somebody, inspire somebody, protect somebody. All right. Be safe. Be well, and find your vision group. Peace. 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 Peace.